That's
Yeah. So today we're going to do Lootverse ecosystem grants. The process run, or the voting and donations run for another 5 hours. Genesis Scrolls round 1 review and announcing submissions and some rewards. Tabletop wanted to do an update, and then Loot MMO. Then whatever else happens.
awesome. Well, let's use that as our agenda for our podcast and YouTube audience. Thanks, Tim Shell. And welcome everyone to Loot Town Square number 26. Just a reminder at the top, the Gitcoin Lootverse ecosystem round ends tonight, I think 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's just off of the top of my head, but evening United States time. The ecosystem round will be ending. So I think there's 19 loot projects in there right now. You still have a whole day to even donate $1, which will go a long way via quadratic funding. And with that, I think, we've got standard combos, screen sharing, the Loot MMO in core. And for those who are joining us late, this only works for PC right now, unless on Mac you download. There's a couple different things you can download to simulate, I guess, the PC environment. And so if you do have a PC, go to the Loot MMO Outpost channel, and you'll see a link to the Loot MMO core page that will launch you into this game that you see on your screen right now. My co-host is Tim Shell. Tim Shell, do you have anything else to add?
What's up, GM? I'm going to embarrass you, Andrew. So we've got Lootverse ecosystem round going right now, and it's been wildly successful. I think we have 20 or 21 proposals in here for people who are looking for grants to continue to build and design and create in the Lootverse. And one of these ones that was a latecomer that I think was only posted a couple days ago was Andrew's own grant himself. Andrew and I have acted as kind of unofficial community organizers, movement leaders, if you will, of the Lootverse. And Andrew popped in a community management proposal per my nudging, just to say, let's do some retroactive acknowledgement of this awesome work that Andrew's been doing. Thank you from all of us, Andrew, for what you've been doing here with the Loot Herald, with the weekly cadence of meetings and all hands, with the ongoing marketing and Twitter and just sort of presence. A lot of the battle here in any organization is really just showing up, and you get a lot of points for every week. We're all showing up here. So I will implore you, if you're listening to this in the next 8 hours, or if you're on the call right now with the 15 of us, just take the 2 minutes, pop into Gitcoin. Even a $1 grant to Andrew's community management proposal is matched with almost $100 from the Lootverse DAO. And it's not about the money; it's more about the acknowledgement, and mostly just wanted to say thank you to you, Andrew, for what you're doing, and embarrass you a little bit in front of our friends.
Sufficiently embarrassed, but I appreciate it, Tim Shell, in nudging me for sure. I know I'm pretty bashful about asking for things, so I appreciate it.
Right on. So yeah, Lootverse ecosystem round going really well so far. I absolutely think we should do this again during the next Gitcoin round. Gitcoin ends up being a really powerful platform for this because the Loot Royalty DAO can send over a tranche of ETH to it, and then we as a community, and really the wider Ethereum community, can all vote with our donations to say, hey, we really appreciate you, we notice you, we see you, and we want to encourage you to continue to build and create and write and design and develop in and around the Lootverse. And so I think this first one, a wild success, and I would absolutely vote to do it again for the next round. I think the next round's probably in a month or so. But this one's not even done. So again, 8 hours left. There's 20 grants in here. And they really span the spectrum from art projects to story-driven projects, Genesis Scrolls and the Divine Eye, to, I think, 4 or 5 game projects, Tabletop, Portals and Passageways, Hyper XP, which is actually even more like a public good utility for the Lootverse. Loot MMO, which is also on the screen, is in here as a grant that you could vote for. And so I guess I'm not going to review all of them, but it's really encouraging to see what's happening here. And I think we collectively believe in this vision of an interconnected, infinitely expansive Lootverse, and this Gitcoin ecosystem round and Lootverse ecosystem round is just a perfect manifestation of that. So big ups to everybody who has donated and engaged. It only takes a couple minutes, and really you can only donate $1 if you want to, and it ends up being matched by this wider Ethereum ecosystem and also by the Lootverse DAO. And again, like I said to Andrew too, everybody here on this call, thanks for showing up. I mean, that's half the point, it's half the battle. And every week, here we are, one foot in front of the other, building this crazy dream together. That's my commentary on the Lootverse ecosystem rounds. I'll pop back in to talk about Genesis Scroll stuff. But since our screen has a standard combo looking like he's about to do some loot meditation with Dream Sally, I think we should hand the mic back to you.
Hey guys. Yeah, so this is the first version of the Loot MMO social space, and I'm going to show it around a bit for folks who can't join. So we do have some people here from the horror and loot communities combined. This is where the Crypts and Caverns connection was created. It's a little buggy, so I took it out. But it's pretty cool too, and it just gave me the idea of like, what if you could draw the map as well and kind of discuss strategy and stuff. So maybe if there isn't enough depth where it requires that kind of discussion, I think people would, have like a little drawing tool they could use for discussing there. I think that would be pretty cool. I want to go back to the character selection screen because there is a point of discussion here that I wanted to present to the group. And you can see here on the left these 5 golden ones. These are my 5 more loot bags. And then there are these silver ones. There's 5 of them as well. These are the daily free choices, okay, that everyone gets. So if you're not a holder, you can choose one of these bags. You can see here that it's an OG bag, and these are the more loot bags. And in terms of in-game progression, so what I was thinking is that you're going to play the game and you're going to get XP and materials and stuff like that, and you're going to level up your bag, right? And you retain that progression, right, inside a loot MMO. It associates your progression with that bag. But if you are using a free bag, certain elements of progression are lost when the day flips, when the day rotates, and the selection changes. Now, the progression you make, kind of in a way to reward the original loot holders as well, would be for that progression that you made, like that leveling up that XP, to go to the OG bag. So those will level up faster for the holder of it, right? People who are getting them for free don't get the extra levels that these bags hold. Like, let's say this is like a level 30 bag, because a lot of people have been using it that day. It's leveled up a lot. Everyone starts level 1 with it, but the holder, if they come in and play the game, or if they sell the bag and somebody else plays it, they would get the level 30. Does that make sense? And we can have a leaderboard showing the ranks of the bags and stuff like that too. But if I own a bag, then I get to carry that progression just for myself, right? I would, like to see what people think of that idea, because there's nothing quite like that in the game space, and it's kind of the type of creative solution that you want to look for or consider when exploring something so different as as a high fidelity, like NFT based game. You know what I mean? So yeah, let me know. Let me show you around. So you can sit down these places and chill if you want. The poker table here plays poker. The spots here, so I'm explaining the map. This doesn't do anything, but I was thinking maybe this is your stash, and then perhaps your armory here. This could be another station to do something, and this could be some kind of bulletin board where people can post stuff, or I don't know, quests. I don't know. Each of these stations is kind of intended as it could be something else. There's a mailbox here. Maybe this is events and notifications for the community that comes in. So like. For today, I could have put an event here. Hi, welcome to Loot MMO. This is the first version to kind of explain, like, there's no adventures yet. This is just the launch as a social space. You know what I mean? So I think when we launch new content, like when we have a game jam, for example, that's starting, we could here put a red flag up, and when people come in and check it, they could be like, hey, there's a game jam. If you want to participate, go to the website. That sort of thing. We can put the link to our Discord server here in the mailbox, that type of thing. So that's what I'm thinking about for this. And here there's some space that could be something else as well. There's a lot of space around, and then there are these doors that don't go anywhere currently. There's a bunch of these doors. They can connect to different experiences in the Lootverse here inside of Loot MMO that are kind of the results of the game jams. Up here, there's a pinball table that I got from the community content. It's a really fun game. Oh, the shield kind of gets in the way. I need to switch to another skin that doesn't block the way. But I'm not going to play the pinball game.
We got a poker game going on.
Oh yeah, I want to join. Yeah, so this is probably the most engaging piece that's been added so far. It's the one thing that you can do for a long time here. Don't cheat. Don't look at my hand.
I just realized I could do that. Yeah, sorry about that.
Whoops, I shouldn't have said anything. But yeah, let me play a hand here, and then that's kind of it. I mean, it's just the beginning. It's the first step, right? And this is going to be open source pretty soon. I didn't open source it yet because it needs some cleaning up and documentation. I need to reorganize the project. It's got some messy stuff. It's got some of the prototype stuff thrown in together, and I think it could be a little cleaner. So once that's ready, I think next week. So I think I could aim for next Thursday to have the open source repository for the hub, and perhaps it's for Loot MMO as a whole. It's the entire project could be in the same repo. Although I think each piece, each part could be developed privately first, and then once it's more stable and has some documentation, it can go to the repo. I guess that's a question of style.
Hey, Gabe, there was a question from Tyler Harris. How do you decide what 5 OG bags are free to play?
It randomly chooses from the 8,005. It's a good question. Any other questions? Let me know. I could check the chat as well. Thanks for letting me know.
No worries.
So was there a point, Gabe, when I joined where it did want to off with my wallet to pull my actual loot bags?
Yeah, if you haven't connected your wallet, you do that on the website. So you go to coregames.com and check your profile, and you can connect your wallet there. Now, in the first-time user flow, when you first join Core, as of yesterday, there is a new user flow that prompts you to connect your wallet as well. So you don't have to go to the website as the only way, but
okay, great. Yeah, I think I missed that one, so I'll cycle back through that. But yeah, this looks really great.
Thanks for all the money.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully I don't lose all my money in like 7 hands of poker. Do I get more money tomorrow, or how does this work?
I think you have to dance on the table to get more money.
Is that a real thing?
Speaking of money, like that is a great question. I think we're going to have some sort of currency that is native to the hub, and perhaps it's used in some of the in-game crafting. I don't know for sure about that, but that's also a point of discussion. So tomorrow at 9, same time as this meeting, in the Loot MMO server, there will be a game design meeting. We're going to discuss the roles of the different items in game, the gameplay ramifications, like what makes a scimitar different from a longsword, that type of thing. One armor, demon hide, or dragon skin, like what do they do? If you want to participate in that and actually figure out, like, okay, this is good against that, and this does that, this protects against that. What do the rings and amulets do? Like, it's a brainstorming. All the ideas are welcome, and I will record all the ideas, and then we can go through them and figure out, like, which ones do we want to apply to the game, to the systems as a whole. So I'll be building, I'll be coding and putting things together. But I need the ideas from the community. So 9 a.m. tomorrow, Loot MMO server. Join us.
Great. Sounds awesome.
I'll see you later.
Awesome. Thank you, Standard. Oh, I made it, by the way, guys, on my Mac.
Oh, yeah?
On my Mac, I just made it.
Cool. It's possible.
It is possible.
Are you using GeForce Now or are you using Wine?
I am using GeForce.
Okay.
But
I don't know how it works out.
I also didn't have an Epic Games account, so I had to set up a GeForce account and an Epic account.
That was fast. Congratulations. On your nimble fingers. It's funny because when people click in the interface in the poker game, they attack with their weapon.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
This reminds me of like the hubs in MUDs. I'm probably aging myself a little bit here, but in text-based MMO or text-based games, you always have like this hub where everybody collected. This really feels like a visual version of that. I love it. All right, I've taken enough of your money, Luke. You're all stopped.
Funny.
Right on, guys. That's awesome to see that. I definitely feel FOMO for not being in that virtual world right now. So right after this call, I'm going to download it and hop in.
And we'll do more events too. Every time there's a new piece of content or a jam, stuff like that, we'll do an event and show off what people have worked on.
Sweet. I think the more people who download it too, the more we can just use this as a backdrop to each of the weekly town squares.
Yeah, it really makes the calls very entertaining.
Yeah, sorry. I'll stop playing and get back to hosting.
We reviewed ecosystem grants. We just reviewed the MMO. Amazing. I want to talk Genesis Scrolls and Open Quill project, but before we do that, why don't we do an update from Tabletop crew, Stellaris and team?
Yeah, I'm actually on the phone right now, so if you guys could kind of hop over to the Tabletop Discord, I could actually show you the AI, the AI that we kind of forked from AI Dungeon to make a storytelling AI part. Hold on, let me just drop the invite for let me just drop the invite for the Discord. Yeah. Hold on. Just a second. Alright, there you go. and yeah, I just dropped it in. I just dropped it in general. So if you could, so if you could just like basically verify and just go in there, and yeah, just type in capture. I will manually give you the role myself then. Hold on. Alright, there you go. So if you could kind of head right down, like way down, right down. The open role button. You can just go to commands actually, and so basically we just kind of fork the AI dungeon bot, and so if you just type in /do, and basically you can just type in anything you want to do, like just type in action, right? Like any action you want to do, like swing. Oh, it looks like someone's already using it, but you could just type in, I don't know, swing, yeah, something like that. I think it's because the other guy is also using it. Maybe you can type it down in chat or something like this. The other channel or something like that. But basically, what it does is it kind of I think the whole I think people using the bot at the same time kind of made that class. But basically, what it does is that it actually take the input that you put in. If you could just scroll up from there, like if you just kind of scroll up from there, you could actually see. No, I mean in the top right. Like if you could scroll up there, it looks like Thomas had been using it quite a bit, and basically you just type in a bit of input there, and it would actually generate stories or actions or whatever based on the contact, based on the input that you put in, right? And there's also /act and also story. Honestly, I want to showcase this when I actually have some freedom, when I'm actually when I actually have access to a computer. But yeah, the idea was to kind of create an open role play kind of thing using AI. So you could come up with a lot of ideas, but I was thinking of something like play by post, where everyone kind of everyone kind of does like a shared adventure together, and it's basically not just the AI bot, but there's also like another bot that kind of records your character statistics and your basically your abilities and equipment and so on, and also the roles similar to the AI bot. So this is just something that we come up for like Discord engagement and just for fun activities and stuff like that while the game is in development. And I believe it would take roughly 2 to 4 months to come up with like a coherent demo. And basically, yeah, it's actually working. So yeah, there you go. Actually, that's how it kind of works. You just type in like whatever the bot kind of just thinks about it, and it'll end up like there you go. It'll end up generating like an actual, I don't know, a story or action, whatever, right? You could also use the command say, like story basically just allows you to like write your own narrate your own version to the story. So do is for the actions, and say is if you want to say something or if you want to speak, right? And that's the kind of I'm not sure like how many of you were actually there like the first time we kind of showcased this, right? But this is like the kind of model that we are building the game on Unity too. Like this is the model that we're going to use. It's not necessarily going to have AI integration yet, but the idea, the kind of rationale behind using a Discord bot to making a Discord bot in the first place is to kind of flesh out what we could do and how we could do it, and then how we can integrate the API into the game, and how we could merge the two things together, right? So essentially, the idea is to create an order token infrastructure with maybe like platformer levels, turn-based RPG levels, stuff like that. And then once we get that flushed out, the idea is to kind of integrate AI experiences into that as well. And from here on out, I believe our co-founders will take lead, and they'll pretty much do a very standard job at this. And this is actually the result of upfront work, forking this thing and kind of meshing it and like mixing this up with our own ideas and stuff. So yeah, that is it. Like I just wanted to do a kind of short introduction, a short brief of what we're gonna do over the next 3 months, 6 months. This is kind of, I think this kind of down the roadmap, but like we finished this bit up before the grand round is even over. But yeah, that's it. That's it from me.
Stellaris, as you can tell, I'm having fun here. We're about to have a standoff between a demon and a dragon. Well, no, you guys can actually just kind of organize games and engagement activities and whatever you want around it. Like I actually don't mind. Like you guys can take that liberty. Just pretty much do what you want. And basically, this is what's gonna take up most funding because currently the AI, the GPU that we are using is not that strong. Obviously, it doesn't take too long to generate responses. But if we had like access to like stronger, faster GPUs with like a better deep learning storage and everything, we could actually pull off something much better than this, something much faster, something much quote unquote smarter than this. So yeah, that's pretty much one thing that we listed in the grant down. I guess the rest of it would be the actual game development, which is actually underway. I was hoping that I'm trying to come by, but I believe it would be like 12, 1 Malaysia. I'm not sure, but it would be pretty like that. So yeah, that's it. If anyone has any or anything like that, you can just share whatever feedback or anything in one of our feedback channels. You can just DM me, you can DM Afan, you can DM Nishan, whatever you want. Stellaris, this is a ton of fun.
Yeah. I can see that you're having a lot of fun with that part.
It's cool. I mean, there's a future here where AI ends up being a really powerful and helpful part of a creative process. And I think that we're living at this turning point right now, where I think AI tools like this, obviously, they're not going to replace the entire creative process, but to help with some narrative scaffolding, to help tease out ideas from your mind that you didn't know were there, to bring some surprise and fun into the mix is really cool. obviously seen it with DALL-E and Midjourney, seen it here with OpenAI, GPT-3 stuff. But yeah, this is really cool to see. One of the things I was most impressed by just now is that I told it the dragon reaches into her loot bag and pulls out ... and this magic AI actually found a mace, which is pretty cool. It could have been cool to see that.
Honestly, that bot just keeps on surprising me too. Comes up with its own jokes and stuff. It just kind of blows my mind, honestly.
I mean, this is pretty good. If anybody wants me to type anything, you can unmute and feel free. Or if anyone has any questions for Stellaris or feedback for the team, or just sparks of intrigue here, feel free.
Alright. Well, it's that like if there's any feedback or whatever, like I think it would be best if you kind of DM me, or like if you kind of like drop it in suggestions and feedback or whatever. So that if anyone has anything else to say during this down call, like I'd like to give them time.
Wow, it just got intense here. The demon's roar is blood dripping from its mouth. You were right, kid. I don't want to die. I don't think I want to die, the demon says.
It can come up with all the wildest stuff.
Funny. Well, thanks for sharing this. This is really cool. Did you want to introduce some other people on your team also you had mentioned?
Excuse me, what is that?
Did you also want to introduce some people on your team?
Oh, I mean, just basically introduce like the table.
Well, no, just some people. I thought in a DM to me you said you wanted to introduce some of the individuals from your team. No worries.
I didn't quite catch that. Sorry. Like, I didn't quite hear that.
Well, it's all good, Stellaris. Thanks for sharing here, and thanks for demoing this. And that link's in there if anybody wants to play with that. Pop into that Discord link, and I'm sure you can ask questions to Stellaris and the team as well.
Yeah.
Really amazing. I can't wait to play.
Of course.
All right. I think our last official thing we wanted to chat about was the Genesis Scrolls project and where we're at, an update, round one update, and thoughts about the process forward, and some cool little surprising results right now. Nice to see that we have a bunch of the writers on the call as well. Let me share a screen because I want to show something as we go. I'm pretty sure everybody here is familiar with this Genesis Scrolls project. I don't think I see any totally new faces. But just for folks who might be listening to this later, in 10 seconds, the vision here of the Genesis Scrolls project is to publish a compendium of short stories that bring the Lootverse to life. It's a community-crafted initiative. It's funded by generous donations from the community, plus Genesis Project donated about 20 ETH to it. Zoink donated 10 ETH to this. The Lootverse ecosystem round has a Gitcoin proposal that'll end up being, I think, another 10 ETH or so for this project. And the goal here is to give just no strings attached writing grants to people across this community to bring this Lootverse to life, and ideally inspire future creators, whether it's builders, game designers, artists, writers, builders, etc. Inspire future creatives with seeds of stories that can be told for ages. We have a small steering committee who's driving this, and it's being operated underneath the Open Quill Foundation, which is this exciting entity. I don't know what you want to call it. Let's just call it a foundation for now, but an exciting foundation that wraps a lot of the work that I've been doing, and Loot Hero, and Banners, and Zidara, and a handful of us others, doing sort of collaborative world building, both from the lore and the media side, and the on-chain media side, but also from the technology side. What we're doing here through Open Quill is writing grant programs for sci-fantasy communities, starting with Loot, but also publishing technology to support the on-chain publishing movement. The first open source project is this on-chain publishing system called librarium.dev that I'm not totally ready to demo yet. But the goal here is to use the fuel of the Lootverse to kickstart this movement, and this movement here around on-chain media and collaborative world building and collaborative storytelling, and also to use this as a bridge for writers to make their way into Web3. So this has given us a ton of energy over the past few months. And the first project here is the Genesis Scrolls project. The other parallel project is this Divine Eye project that I'm not going to demo today, but I can demo again soon. But let's talk about Genesis Scrolls project. I wanted to give an update as to where we're at. So the plan here, sort of top to bottom for the way that this is going to work, is that it's happening in 3 phases. Phase 1 was us gathering submissions from the community, doing a first set of rewards. We have 5 ETH that's being rewarded out as no strings attached writing grants to people in Phase 1, really as a way to kickstart this process. Round 2 is similar process, again, a 5 ETH set of rewards, and with this 5 ETH, again, going to be giving these no strings attached grants to writers that are purely just to get people excited and acknowledge them and reward them for their creative work in this world. And then by Phase 3, which should be probably start 3-4 weeks from now, the goal is less about getting more submissions and more actually about curating to the finalists, editing the storybook together, maybe getting some last-minute submissions, and really curating everything back together to tee us up to be able to then compile these stories into a official Genesis Scrolls compendium, which we do intend to write on-chain, so there'll be on-chain stories published through the librarium, and then collected, likely through an NFT, alongside some really special first edition hardcovers that will be available to the community. And then eventually, it takes a while to publish an actual book that's going to find its way online and in digital stores and maybe even in real stores. Just the printing process takes a while. So we're giving ourselves probably till December or so to get that out. But there'll be a lot of process along the way. And hopefully by October, which is July, maybe 3 months from now, maybe even sooner, we'll be able to launch the first ever on-chain set of Lootverse stories compiled into this compendium and published as a real book. In terms of Phase 1, or Round 1 if you want to call it that, we have gathered the submissions. The plan now is to recognize and execute the rewards for Phase 1. And I wanted to actually announce them on this call today, even though it's only 20 of us on this call. Banners and I and Loot Hero, and I don't see Zidara here, but wanted to announce the results of Round 1 and remind everyone that Round 2 is now open. Again, Round 1 was a pool of 5 ETH that we had set aside for rewards for this, and that was actually all the way back in April, so I forget what ETH was at back in April, but it was a lot higher than it was now. That was a more significant pot, 5 ETH back then. But even still, 5 ETH is 5 ETH, right? As they say, 1 ETH is 1 ETH. And so what we wanted to do with Phase 1 is 2 things. Instead of doing a ranked order where we distribute the 5 ETH to a first prize, second prize, third prize, what we decided to do instead, which I think is nicely in the spirit of Loot and the spirit of this movement, and to match the outpouring of creative energy that we've all seen, is just take that 5 ETH and across the 30 writers who submitted content, just split it evenly as an acknowledgement of everybody's participation in Round 1. So first off, if you submitted a story to Phase 1 of the Genesis Scrolls project, you will get your share of that 5 ETH pot, just as an acknowledgement of the participation. I know it's not a ton of money, and it's not a payment for work. It's really just an acknowledgement of everybody's creative spirit. The second thing that we're going to do, though, actually 2 things. In Phase 2, there will also be another 5 ETH rewards pool. And for Phase 2, we're going to use a little bit more of a voting model and scoring model, and just we have a rubric that we can talk about, and actually Loot Hero, maybe you can talk about the rubric in terms of how we want to evaluate this type of content. Things like how much it expands on the loot LDK and how much it invites more people to create content, etc. So for phase 2, the 5 ETH will probably be not cut evenly across everybody and more distributed to a handful of the most engaging stories that the steering committee here decides to reward. And then by phase 3, there'll be again yet another grant pool, and the stories from round 1 automatically carry over to round 2. And the stories from round 2 will automatically carry over to phase 3, or round 3, where the goal here is not like 3 separate storybooks, but really just a set of phases for us to be able to gather submissions, gather more submissions, curate to the finalists, and ultimately launch this on-chain book and physical book. So that's the process. I shared the plan for phase 1 in terms of the 5 ETH grant pool just being split evenly across the 30 writers. But I wanted to show, or I wanted to acknowledge some of the writers themselves who are on this call, and actually announce something kind of cool, which is that along the way, this Genesis Scrolls project has received not only ETH grants, but also donations of some other NFTs. One of the NFTs that the Genesis Scrolls project received was a loot bag. The Genesis Scrolls project also quietly bought another couple loot bags maybe a month ago. And the spirit here is, as we're all creating this lootverse together, we're becoming owners of the lootverse. I always have this mental model that you should give ownership to people who act like owners, and the people on this call are acting just like owners. Everybody on this call here, whether you own an OG loot bag or not, we are all acting like owners of the lootverse. And so to reinforce that spirit and celebrate everybody's creative participation here, a nice little surprise. For round 1, we're going to be giving out 2 loot bags to 2 writers who've just been exemplary examples of sort of community engagement and creative expression of the lootverse, but whose early first drafts of their stories are getting us really excited. So with that, I kind of want to hand that to Banners. Banners, you've been running a ton of this process. Banners, maybe you can announce those 2 winners of the 2 loot bags. And winners isn't even the right word. Everybody's a winner here. It's more about just people we want to acknowledge with some ownership of OG loot. And then anything else, Banners, you want to talk about in terms of stories that really struck you, or just the process itself?
Yeah, thanks, Tim Shaw. For anybody that doesn't know, I've been sort of the person behind the Open Quill Twitter account, so I've been reading everything pretty much as it came out, and trying to do it justice with a promotional tweet where we take an important line from your story and try and summarize it into 140 characters. And in that process, I've just been blown away from the first day, whatever it was, start of May. And I think it was Fallen Cavern that came out first, and it was like, holy smokes, this thing is going to be awesome. And then they just kept coming and coming, and then at, I don't know, maybe the 2/3 mark, we were kind of giving each other high fives, like we amassed this awesome collection of content, and then we had the expected sort of final third dump because everybody had been writing for so long, and what we ended up with was 67,000 words of written content, and in literary terms that equates to 275 book pages, based on how it's measured in the industry. And just to give some scope on that, the Hobbit is 95,000 words, and then Fellowship of the Ring is 185. So we've written 2/3 of the Hobbit, or a third of Lord of the Rings, with round 1 of this this little project that could. So it's been super fun to be part of and sort of be a fly on the wall, just consuming this content in the background, and through it all there's been ballads and reports and poems, cheese plugs for your ears, villains, chads, demons, dragons, all kinds of arachnid creatures, and the breadth has been really, really impressive, and even lullabies, with the Loot Lark series. So I just wanted to I guess, tossed out. A few, honorable mentions at this point before we mention the recipients of the loot bag, but Quetzalcoatl, I'm not sure if I'm saying that last part correct, but the Fool's Errand Part 1 and 2 was one of my favorites. The demon Rojan and the dialogue was just so delightfully strange that it was a lot of fun to read. Another shout out to the entire crew behind Violette, so Kwame, Ravens Anon, and Deep Tea. They're putting together a pretty impressive package, and I think it really speaks to what the Lootverse and building on is all about. And we're excited to see what Violette has in store for the rest of the Lootverse. And then those were some honorable mentions, but we did have a few that ended up on top. And the first recipient, who everybody is familiar with, and it has not only been writing, but has been doing a ton of work on the social media side with his short videos. But Ticklish is the first recipient, and you can kind of take your pick. He submitted 3: The Colors of Light, Fallen Cavern, and None So Blind, if I'm not mistaken. Ticklish, if you're there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm listening with breath in my throat. Thank you.
Well, thank you for, first of all, writing 3 awesome pieces. I think you said you're up to working on 5 now, if we're not mistaken.
Yes, I just finished my day job today, and this weekend will be story number 5 about Clown.
Well, we are super excited to read those. The second recipient is a story called Something More Than Loot Itself, which, if you haven't read it, I strongly suggest you do. It's gripping and dark and kind of strange, and it really pulls you in with everything that it has going on. And it's something that when you're reading, you can picture it in a movie or a series. It's very visceral. So the Lore Crafters Guild, who is kind of a neat entrant. So they are sort of like a roaming troupe of writers that come out of the Pills universe and write stuff for different universes. So it's going to be exciting to see what they come up with, and how that bridges loot to other communities, through Rep 3. But anyway, congratulations to everybody. I'm going to be putting a document into the writer's room shortly that is a compilation of all the feedback, and a special shout out to our Curators Council as well. They signed up to review all the work, when we were at maybe 15,000 words, and then we exploded to 67,000 words, and there was not one complaint. They all just put their heads down and read everything and put together some really thoughtful reviews and feedback. And so you can find that in the Google Doc that I'll share in the writer's room. And it's organized by the title of your story. So, we're looking forward to round 2. And we'll start to see some ETH drip into your wallets from the first round. And, thanks, everybody. I can't wait to start number 2.
Awesome to hear all that, Banners. Thank you. I wanted to give the mic to DD, potentially, as a new OG loot owner and newbie to the community, but who wrote something really special and thoughtful. Happy to hand you the mic. You want to chat about how you're feeling about it, or just your thoughts on the Lootverse, or the story you wrote? Would love to hear it.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi. So first I'll have to say that the story, Something More Than Loot itself, that was in huge part possible because of Default Triangle, our lore master. We all wrote different stories, and we all kind of coalesced around his kernel of an idea that we helped develop. So I want to say that really it belongs to him, but I imagine we have like a multi-sig that we put all of like our NFT prizes into. So I think this is going to be kind of like a trophy cabinet in a way, I suppose. So this is going to be something that I'm really happy that we can add that to like our little trophy case, and I hope that we can continue to develop stories not only for Open Quill, but any other community that's looking for lore. I really didn't expect this, so I'm just kind of like shocked, and I'm really happy that everybody enjoyed the story, and I hope that we can even continue to develop, because we kind of leave it a little bit open-ended at the end on purpose so that we can develop the story a little bit more as Open Quill goes on, and maybe even do a spin-off or two. If you allow me to shill Warcrafters for a moment, if you don't mind. We actually, what are we first? We are a collective of writers and creatives there within the Pills Universe project, which let me give you guys a link to our Discord real quick. And our writers room. So as we have been around officially for a little bit over a year now, I think. We started really organizing last summer, and we hope to continue to do more like creative mercenary work, I suppose we could call it. But being able to submit things as a guild itself, and hopefully be able to push into being like more and more self-sufficient. For example, we also entered the Spiced Out lore contest, and we ended up taking the first prize in that, and we've been using the prize money from that to develop. We're working on a manga with an artist. Let me find that. That will be on our Pills Lore website, or not Pills Lore website, excuse me, Pills Lore Twitter. Let me find. I know we made a post here. Yeah, here it is. So this was. We used funds from that to develop this, and we hope any prizes and things like that to use to make our own website, which is something that's also on our agenda, to share all of these tidbits of lore that we've worked on, sort of have a centralized place where we can show all the submissions for various projects that we've done, and things like that. So if anyone would be interested in that, we are running a contest right now through Twitter where we are, excuse me, okay, got that, where you would create an inmate in this place called Prison Block in the Pills universe, which the second link that I posted is our outer blocks in 5 minutes or less, done by our lore master, Default Triangle. He's the voice you'll see on that. He also edited the video and everything. We have to continue to do videos like these because we feel like it's a really good, fun way for people to kind of get engaged with our lore, because it is a bit dense, but we're working on making it a lot more available to everybody now that we have like a true foundation for the lore of the Pills universe. So through this contest, not only do we want to give away some prizes, but we want this to be sort of like an open invitation for anybody to write a little, like a little blurb on Twitter, obviously within a tweet for this contest, but eventually we'll be having more and more in-depth sort of like contests that you can involve yourself in with the lore of the Pills universe, which you have a pretty good chance of a lot of it being developed into canon eventually as well. That's kind of part of the point of the lore crafters, is that we help sort of fill out the universe. We have like some sort of like things that came from Pills itself. It's sort of like the like the Pills themselves, things like that. But as far as expanding the universe, just onward and outward, we hope that the lore crafters are the main mechanism for doing that. And I thought, what a better place to look for potential writers than the wonderful Loop community and everybody who's contributed to the Open Quill project.
Right on. Dee, thank you for all that context, and for folks who maybe didn't like totally connect the dots there, I'll say that wasn't a full shill for Pills, because Pills really is, even though that was like, wait, why are we talking about Pills now? Pills really is a multimedia project that cuts across the Hyperverse, and the whole spirit of Pills is about sort of telling stories from the Hyperverse and reinterpreting them in fun ways. And what you guys are doing, so I know that you're not like running Pills directly, you're the Lore Crafters Guild that was sort of born up and out of Pills, and in a lot of ways Open Quill is an on-chain media organization born up and out of the Lootverse, and I think we found kindred spirits here in that if you guys can help pop into the Lootverse and bring the Lootverse to life, alongside bringing Pills to life. I just think that there's some really cool magic happening across various Hyperverse projects. So Pills itself is cool, but what you're doing with the Pills Lore Crafters Guild and cutting across other projects is really inspiring to us. So thanks for being here. Excited to see what more you guys create. And even some of the art that you guys are playing around with, seeing some accompanying art like that. These will be multimedia stories. So if for your existing stories or the next draft of it, you want to add some art into the mix, the on-chain publishing system supports art, and then the final book will obviously have art as well.
Oh, yes. I think that our creative team would absolutely be interested in creating some assets for that. And I guess another thing, we do plan on, for any of you who would be familiar with Pills already, we're doing these crossover pill drops. Specifically now we're doing them with Tubbies, Wassies, Blit Maps, which we actually just dropped the reveal for that one today. And I am a personal advocate for there to eventually be some type of like loot pill. It'll be a little bit complicated, so don't expect it anytime soon, but I hope that eventually we'll be able to do something like that, because it just feels right, you know?
Right on. Well, thanks for sharing this stuff today. And welcome.
Yeah, thanks for inviting.
Now you are officially an owner of the Lootverse, so don't just put that on yourself. Use your bag. It'll have some XP tied to it already, and the more you use it, the more the XP grows.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Well, I am going to tell all the lore crafters that we want a loot bag, and I'm sure that they're all going to be they're going to be ecstatic, because I am still just wow. Thank you very much. Thank you for the space to talk about all of this. And if anybody has any other questions, Toes is a bit dense, feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty available. So yeah, give me some time.
Hey, Loot Hero, if you're still on, do you want to wrap us up? You've been heart and soul of the Lootverse and heart and soul of this Genesis Scrolls initiative.
Great, yeah. I lost all my money already. I was trying to figure out how to do some more decoration. It seems like everybody's in there destroying the hub. It's like going around picking up the mess. Yeah, the open quill submissions were just absolutely incredible. I mean, I didn't fully appreciate how much content there would be to read. Like, I sat down one night and I budgeted like 6 hours, and thinking that would be plenty of time, but it wasn't. I mean, there was so much content and so many good stories. So bravo to everybody who submitted. I'm really excited to hear that Ticklish are continuing to write. Obviously, like with the Something More Than Loot story, yeah, like I'm definitely as a reader of that wanting to hear what happens next. So I'm fully nerd sniped into these stories, and one thing we talked about is trying to incentivize writers writing on top of other people's works in a future phase of the program. So kind of giving bonus points to writers who build on other people's stories just to add more to the mix. So that's something I think could be really exciting as well. And then bringing it back to the rubric. So we recognize that in phase 1, we didn't really publish the rubric ahead of time. We did on the OpenQuill site kind of list out what the criteria was, and that is generally what drove the rubric. But through the process, we kind of realized that the rubric is really essential to the whole model working well, so that the writers can kind of review themselves, if you will, and that there's just a really transparent medium for everybody to understand how things are being scored. So something we're looking to do between now and end of phase 2 or phase 3 is kind of initiate more conversations with the writers and the curators about the rubric, make that more transparent, and try to evolve that so that it's easier to bring anybody in as a curator, so that we get more people reading these stories, reviewing it, and collectively we can all kind of work towards, kind of build out cohesively these stories. Just absolutely blown away by the work that was submitted. I deeply appreciate as I've said before, all the different skill sets that Loot has attracted, from games to art to stories. This community really has it all. I'm grateful to be part of it.
Sweet. Well, I think we can wrap up on Genesis Scroll stuff, but thanks for giving us so much time to chat about this. We're obviously really excited, and I do believe that what we're doing here will end up being really important work for the Lootverse in terms of planting story seeds that then can blossom through games and through art and through other multimedia projects. But also plant seeds for the wider Hyperverse about just how do you do community-crafted storytelling, and how do you do community-crafted world building, and how do you translate that to an on-chain publishing system that puts it on the blockchain forever as a community. We're exploring new territory here in a lot of ways, and this one feels really special and exciting to me.
Tim, I have one question just before you wrap up.
Yeah.
I'm going to start on the illustrations soon, of that which I proposed through Gitcoin. Got an incredible response. And as it so happens, the first story I'm going to start illustrating is something more than Loot itself. We've been talking to Default Triangle about how to depict that. Just as soon as there is an idea of how big the final book would be, that's kind of when I can really start in earnest. When I know the dimensions, then I can start immediately.
I don't think we know the dimensions yet, but I guess we can do it'll probably be multiple dimensions, because we'll do like a first run special hardcover version, and then we'll do a more regular, soft cover, cheaper version.
Okay, I can only paint one. But yeah, whenever there is a size, then I can start.
Yeah. We can chat about it offline, but I feel like whatever you do, we'll make it work. Whether you have to put a little frame around it or something, we'll make it work. So I wouldn't let dimension constraints hold you back. But it'll be
okay. Cool. I need to know how big the paper is.
We'll chat about this offline, and we can come up with a way to unstick you. But cool, great to hear that, and it's just such a perfect example too of these worlds coming together. You guys didn't know each other before this, right? Take a look.
We had a couple of run-ins maybe through Screensaver World, a little off track.
Oh wow! Yeah. The old days of the Friday auctions, right?
Yeah, Bellarami giving it his all.
Oh man, Bellarami, what a guy!
I guess you guys did know each other. Well, amazing. But just a cool example of two completely disparate stories, things here coming together is just a perfect metaphor for the Lootverse. Andrew, back to you. If we have other stuff we can chat about, stuff that's on your mind, obviously you're a writer too. I see Hill on here if you want to talk any A-Gold stuff, or anybody else wants to grab the mic, go for it.
I just wanted to 30 seconds share something I made this week, which is I'm also building off of the Violet Vitriol character. I think it's pretty compelling villain. So I made a little kind of music type of video. So I guess it's a bit of a prelude to my grant as well. So I'll link both of those in the chat. Feel free to watch it. It's pretty bonkers and strange. So enjoy it. All right, that's it. That's all I gotta say.
Do you want to share some music right now?
Yeah. I mean, you guys can watch it. I mean, I don't. Sure, I'll try and screen share it. But I just don't think the sound's going to come through very well.
Well, yeah, maybe give us a 10-second teaser, because you're right.
Sure.
Sound in Discord's awkward sometimes. So give
It's
us
sure, I'll do that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to get a little visual tease in, I guess. I love that infinite regress thing that pops up. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you the end. So, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a it's a vision that Violet and Vitriol had in her childhood before she was kind of kidnapped to become a maker of these like undead zombie chimera things. So I guess it's a premonition of her future. So yeah, I'm just kind of a little piece of the Violet lore. And that's kind of some of the work I'm doing here. And so if you all like that, you can check out my grant. That's what I'm going to be doing. All right.
Nice.
So, you're welcome. Just a little injection of strangeness that we call it.
Cool. So I also want to jump in a little bit. Hi everyone, Taylor calling from China. I'm actually the original, I guess, connector for Loot and Gitcoin. I created a group for Tim about I think 3 months ago, and finally we got to see the connection and to see the Lootverse Grand Front doing really well. I think I just funded most of the projects of the 20 total, and I really got to see the I guess the Lootverse thriving with Gitcoin. So I'm with Mask, and we're hosting another ecosystem round, working on Web3 social network. And I think 2 of the Lootverse projects are also in our round. So yes, I feel like it's also a pretty magical way to see things together. I think both the Rift and the tabletop are in our round as well. So if you guys are here, definitely talk to me. If not, I can also try to find you guys later. And since the round is ending in like 7 hours, so anyone who has not donated to or donate to the round yet, definitely encourage you guys to at least try the donation and the matching mechanism. It's pretty magical to see like the larger donation money being matched to the round participants and also slightly proportional to the amount donated. It's a pretty good mechanism that facilitates public good, which Loot definitely is, and Lootverse overall are. I guess I'll give the floor back to you guys. Really enjoying the conversation here.
Taylor, thanks for jumping on. I think it's probably 1 a.m. for you right now too, which is some real commitment to showing up.
Yeah, that's why I have been showing up less often than I could be.
So yeah, I put some links in general too, but shout out to Taylor. Taylor really was the energy that connected us originally to Gitcoin, and he has a company called Mask that's a cool Web3 social utility, and his company Mask is helping to shepherd this Web3 social Gitcoin round in parallel to the Lootverse. So yeah, thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Anybody else want the mic?
Yeah, I guess probably one thing to share on those sides. So we're still working on the feedback from auditors, and a few of the I'm not gonna say issues, but a few of the concerns being in our scene contract, or at least the proposed smart contract that's not still deployed on mainland yet. The one that found there's like a few points of centralization, so we're deploying the multi-sig, the original Ego multi-sig towards that staking multi-sig as well. And then still there's like a few things we need to do, but there has been like all those NFT and CMS going on, so it's not like the easiest to coordinate the original like multi-sig holder. So we're still working on that, and once that is done, we can basically launch our mainnet. And also, I've been paying attention to the Gitcoin grants, and I can especially, should I say, testify here that Taylor has done a tremendous job at, basically advocating for the Lootverse grants, in all kinds of Chinese communities, and we've actually seen a few.
lost you, Hill. Are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now you're back.
Yeah, I was just saying there's a few news report mentioning projects in the loopers that, when they're covering the Bitcoin donation grant. So this is definitely, things that are key that are, getting some people to attention to the loopers. Also, personal just exposure in the industry and seeing more and more projects coming to life, so a lot of them are also providing platforms for writers to put on their articles, or should I say, like fictional novels, etc., to eventually being able to make some earnings from that, not only from the reader but also from the HR model. So I guess there's for the either Open Foundation or just the Lootverse writers in general, there will still be places where you will be able to basically earn money from writing. So I guess that's like the good news for us, and more people not only paying attention to this space but also earning rewards for what they're doing, and I'm quite excited about that. So yeah, just wanting those little things to share for this week.
Nice, thanks for the update, Hill. And if you want to post inside the A Gold channel, you could also share some in text form for people to engage with asynchronously.
Yeah, absolutely, I'll do that.
Cool. I think we're getting close here to wrapping. Andrew, thoughts from you or anybody else on the call who wants to grab the mic?
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts. It's all good. Yeah, no, I think we're at an hour 13, and yeah, I don't need to add too much, but I'm just like, I just also want to echo kind of what's been said about the Genesis Scrolls in the Open Quill Foundation project, and as a writer, I feel inspired, and I feel like I need to start getting some submissions on. But other than that, I look forward to playing around with y'all in the Luda MMO gathering space. I know I'm going to hang out in there a little more after this. Throw some more chairs around, and yeah. If there's nothing else, I think we can call it an early day.
All right, GN. Great day today, guys.
Cheers, awesome. Thanks for everyone to join.